Hey guys, welcome to today's video on what would you do if it was fun. Now, I have got inspired by watching a recent podcast, The Diary of a CEO, I'm sure you watch it. Atomic Habits author James Clear talked about how most people can't hold on to their habits, create the lifestyle, because it's not even fun. And I found this very inspirational because this is something that I've really had to weave in to everything that I do. And I want to share how I do it in a very practical way today. So if you're new to my channel, hello, my name is Elika. I'm an energy optimization coach and a trusted advisor for purpose-driven leaders who want to have way more energy, because you know that's what you need to create a bigger impact in this world. So let's dive straight in. Now, if you are new to my work, I have a framework called the Energy Reset Recipe, which is the biggest tool that I've developed over the last 10 years to really help founders, leaders, and C-suites to be able to optimize in all areas of their life, personally, professionally, and to have that roadmap that rolls that out to you. So if you haven't already watched some of the videos on the Energy Reset Recipe, I would guide you towards that as really understanding that framework and how I apply it. But I'm going to use that framework today and explain to you how I literally create a lifestyle that feels fun. And guess what? When it's fun, it's sustainable, it's realistic, you don't question it, you're just like, how do I do more of this? So the first pillar of my framework is nutrition. So how do I make nutrition fun? Firstly, I teach nutrition from the lens of heritage eating, which is eating your traditional foods in as close as possible you can. So that means the foods that were whole, minimally processed, or what I would say your grandma or great grandma's foods. And because we live in a modern day life and we live in different countries, maybe to our ancestors, you can sometimes adapt that to other people's grandma's foods. But hopefully you get the theme that these foods were things that were growing, moving, or swimming in a nearby water form of your great grandparents' land when they were a child. These foods are not in packets, containers, and tins with multiple ingredients that you cannot pronounce. In fact, they typically don't need an ingredients label. So as a benchmark, before we even go to making it fun, what I have found is that when I'm recreating some of my grandma's cuisine, so my grandma's from Jamaica, so I'm talking about jerk chicken, rice and peas, I'm talking about fried plantain, fried in coconut oil, not vegetable or sunflower oil. So this is already fun to recreate those dishes and to bring people together around those traditional foods. So one of the things that I love doing is Jamaican dinner parties, where I bring some of my closest friends or, even acquaintances. I used to run supper clubs where I used to do this, and I bring people together and I prepare Jamaican food, and that just feels like fun. Now I can do that with Jamaican music, I can do that with just Jamaican cocktails, pina colada. But do you get the feel? Now, obviously, you might not come from a Jamaican heritage, but how could you bring together some of your ancestral foods around dinner to make it more fun? And what I love about this is, even if you feel like some of those foods aren't as healthy, like let's say you're English and it's like an apple crumble, how can you make that healthier? So how can you, for example, replace the white flour that you would use to make the crumble with butter to, let's say, a crumble that's made from mixed nuts and cinnamon and raisins, and you make that as the crumble on the top. Like, there's so many different ways that we can do it. So going to make food really exciting and fun is about being playful with how you think about how you eat. It's not about being regimented and thinking about food always through the lens of how many grams of protein, how many calories, but it's about, even things like how you prepare foods, like pancakes, right? Now, when I think about a pancake, I think about something that is in a form where I can put lots of different toppings on it. So one of the things that I used to do is I used to make an omelette, like a pancake, should I say, from eggs. So what I would do is I would whisk all the eggs together like you would do making an omelette, but I would layer it very, very thinly like it was a crepe. And then I could roll it up and put something inside it. So sometimes even just the way that I make food, like tacos and the fillings of tacos, this like crepe-like style egg, and then I fill it with stuff. Sometimes that's playful. Have you noticed also that when you do food sharing, like it also feels more playful? Like, that's what I love about tapas. Small plates of lots of little different things. It makes food playful. So I encourage you to look through nutrition through that lens, and that can be a really amazing way of like making it fun and making it easy. Now, my second pillar is movement. So how do I make movement playful? Is by what movement brings you joy. Most people do not get joy from going into the gym and being regimented on 5 times a week in a gym, or doing a sort of workout that just feels like so disciplined that it couldn't feel fun. Now, I absolutely love being in the gym. I like the routine of it. I like where my body feels. I love it. But I have to add to it some things that are movement for the body that just feel more like fun. One of those things for me is salsa. Salsa for me is like so much joy, so much play, so much fun. Yesterday when I was at salsa, we were doing a class around rumba. And rumba is literally a story, and it's a story of like the hen and the rooster. And the hen and the rooster is like trying to peck at the hen, and the hen is like playfully like running around, and the rooster's trying to chase after her. So it's got this storyline to it. It's also got the storyline of, you can imagine the Cuban woman, and she's there in her garden and she's doing her chores, and maybe she's washing her clothes in the lake, and then there's the Cuban guy who comes and he tries to seduce her, and she's kind of like playfully flirting with him, and he's kind of like trying to seduce her. And the rumba reenacts that storyline. And so I absolutely love it, because every dance move that you do, you're kind of like thinking about, okay, like how would I invoke this energy of receiving in the movement? And so do you see how this gets to be really play? Now, I know so many people that say the same about paddle. So it's a completely different form of movement, but it feels like play to them. I know so many people that make their yoga practice a playful movement. So movement could get to be really playful. And yes, we have to make sure that we're getting the different types of movements that our body needs. We need resistance to be able to build strength. We need flexibility, right? So that we're supple and we stay injury free. And we need cardiovascular ability so that our oxygenated blood fuels our body. We need all of these things, but there are ways to do it in a routine. When you create a routine around it, that becomes a habit that you can sustain, that can be play, or can be a combination of the play. So my third pillar is purpose and relationships. Now, I've got to tell you that when I'm working with my clients, it feels like play, because I'm like, how can we look at this different? The way that I'm challenging them all the time to look at things differently is from things that keep them in the highest frequency. And so because of that, it gets to be play. Now, in my work, I find a lot of play in my networking, because there's a 4-6 line in human design. 4s are designed to network and to create business and grow and expand business through their network. So I tend to find lots of opportunities to socialize and go to networking where there's great food, or I love the venue, and that becomes like my play in how I work. I also I actually find it very playful, enjoy creating content like this, like just sharing things that are what lights up my day, or how I live and how I've built this lifestyle. It actually feels very playful to share this with you. So be thinking about ways to make your work playful. Now, I'm going to just generally say to you that when we talk about energy, and we talk about it through the lens of the feminine and the masculine energy, the feminine energy tends to be more playful, because the feminine energy is more flow, more being, more creativity, more joy, more music, more dance. And so when you look at your work, the processes and the systems and the things that are very disciplined, they tend to be the masculine energy, and they tend to be less playful. So one way is at looking at, what is the feminine energetics in my work? What is the part of my work that is my creative flow, my being, my enjoyment? And this is where you're going to find the play. And in terms of relationships, or equally, what are the relationships that feel playful, that feel joyous, that you just laugh to be around or be with this person, you find yourself laughing more? This is also where you incorporate it being fun. So my last pillar is the mind and sleep hygiene. So this is about self-care. Now, the mind is obviously a lot about our beliefs, right? So our thoughts and our beliefs that create our actions. So when I think about how do we create play around the mind and our self-care, I believe that this is around creating beliefs that are more centered around, I'm going to do things that bring me joy, than beliefs around, these are things that I had to be done. So for example, I caught myself saying, I have to film video today, I have to do this, because I know that I create content in a way where it's realistic and sustainable. So for me, that's currently a long form video once a week. But when you say you have to do something, it's not really playful. So then I had to think about, okay, what would feel playful? And that was what gave me the idea of this video today. It was like, oh my God, actually I wrote this LinkedIn post that I really enjoyed writing, which was inspired by this podcast interview that I listened about play. I was like, I'm gonna do my YouTube video around that because people are really struggling to create habits, right? And that's what the book Atomic Habits was about, because they just don't incorporate play into it. And so it's not something that they look forward to doing, and therefore it doesn't happen. And so that, just even creating that belief around what would be playful that I could create is what created this video today. And so your beliefs get to be about what brings me play, as opposed to what do I need to do? What video do I have to create? What content do I have to do? So, you know, what person do I have to meet? What is the way that I have to work? Like, just reframing the way that you structure what you want to do in your life, the habits that you want to create around play, can automatically bring a lightness to everything. So those are the key things that are standing out for me in terms of the framework and how you can apply the framework through the lens of what would this look like if it was fun? And I hope you've enjoyed this video as much as I've enjoyed making it. So if you do, give it a like up and do share it with maybe someone that you think, you know what, they're on this regimen, they're on this routine, they're on this lifestyle change or this transformation, but I think they need to make this more playful. Maybe share this video with someone that you might have in mind. And I always say that the best way to really incorporate the habits that really are going to help you to create a lifestyle that's full of things that are bringing your energy up, so that you have an overflow of energy that you can use to create a bigger impact, is on my newsletter. It's on my newsletter because I'm sharing with you my stories, my experiences, how I audit every area of my life for optimizing my energy, and the work that I do with my clients to show you how I do that. So you'll see the details of my newsletter in this description box somewhere below the video. So do subscribe to the newsletter if you want to stay on top of those habits and hacks. And I will see you on the next one. Take care.